Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. How are you? I know it has been a while since we have done a live stream, but we are back. Things are more or less back to normal schedule-wise for a little bit, as much as that can be a thing during the holiday season. I'm going to go ahead and get the chat all synchronized here, and then we will get into it. All right. I'm also hoping that I fix the issue with YouTube, like, randomly disconnecting from the stream. I guess that's because Google Chrome takes up so much, like, memory space on a computer that, like, when you just have too many active things going on, like live streaming, for example, it'll sometimes, like, crash out if it takes up too much memory. So I'm hoping that that will be taken care of for today. But yes, alrighty, let me see here. All right, we are good there. Can people see me and hear me? Okay, great. I love the Islander so much. Yeah, I was like, I have time today. Why don't I do, like, I'm trying to, like, my eternal struggle. I'm trying to find, like, an everyday makeup look that I can wear. And I think I like this eye look. I have, like, I don't know if you guys can really see. I have, like, I have, like, two individual lashes on my bottom eye, and then I have, like, a half lash up top. That I like this top lash. It's not, like, my favorite one ever, but it's pretty good. I don't know. And then I got a lip stain that was supposed to be brown, and I feel like it turned out kind of red. So, like, I don't feel like the eye and the lip really go together. But we're practicing, we're learning, and that's part of the experience. Oh, we need to have, wait a camera. Why is that not on? That's a great question. That should be on. Oh, perfect. Pointed directly at the floor. That's exactly, you guys want to see an in-depth view of my carpet, right? That's like what you're here for. Whoa! There we go. That really didn't require me screaming, but you know, I just felt like it, I guess. Doot, 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 doot. There we go. Doot, 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 doot. Zooming in on the pupper. We're zooming in on the bandolina. Did I leave the wall heater on? I did. Does it need to be on? That doesn't need to be on. Alrighty, okay. Hi, so it has been a minute, so I'm gonna do our usual intro here. So hi, my name's Evie Lupine. Most of you probably know that. And here on my channel, every Friday, we stream and we answer some questions. So this is like a little Q&A. I put some suggestions in the title of the stream just to be like, hey, these are things that we could talk about if you feel like it. But it's really whatever y'all want to. I answer questions in the order they come in the chat. So the best way to get a question answered is to put it in the chat early. We also have a little pinned section right up here. You can see it's highlighted in white at the very top of the chat box. And if you tab on that, it should let you put in a question. There is a character limit. And that way I will see it. It'll be kind of in its own section. I will try to get to other questions because I know, like, YouTube doesn't really do the best job highlighting that, but that's the best way to make sure I get to your question. Otherwise, you can use a super chat either through Streamlabs or through YouTube like Sean has just done, and it pops up right here. Great timing. And then it'll either read out your question depending on the dollar amount and where you donate, or it'll at the very least highlight your question with text on screen, and then I will answer it right away. And Sean said, story in your fed and starter stream gifts incoming. Thank you, Sean. Sean has gifted us 5 memberships. We have memberships here on the YouTube channel. They are very simple. They are as cheap as I can physically make them per YouTube rules. They are 99 cents each. And when you get a membership, that allows you to access the emotes that are custom built for this chat. That is really the only reason to get one, unless you want to support the channel. That is the only perk, but that's also the only way that I can have emotes for the channel is by having memberships turned on. So that's why we have that. And otherwise, just be polite, listen to the mods, listen to me. There is an FAQ and some rules down below that are really quick and simple. Basically, you know, again, be respectful, don't spam the chat. And if you have commonly asked questions like, where do I buy a flogger? What books do I recommend? That kind of thing, that will also be linked down below for some helpful resources, just to get those things covered, because telling you all where to buy a flogger, I could spend like 30 minutes every stream listing off every store, and some of them don't even make floggers anymore, and I don't know what kind of flogger you want, and like, you know, it's just sometimes there's resources that are better for you to figure out on your own. But that's that on that. Thank you all so much for listening to my spiel, and we will go ahead and get into it, because I was missing. I've been MIA from at least YouTube streaming for a little bit here, and that always makes me feel really terrible. But I was gone 2 weekends ago. Before the weekend before Halloween, I was gone because I was teaching at Surrender. I taught 4 classes. I taught one on CNC, one on primal play, one on non-monogamy and kink, and one on pain play for the non-masochist. If you would like copies of the slides, I have just posted them today over on my Patreon. If you are a member of the $10 group, you get an access to all 4 of those slides in one bundle. And if you would like to buy those slides individually, they're not the same as a fully recorded class. It's going to be more self-guided, and they're missing all of my like side notes, which are many. Many side notes. Just the slides, you can purchase those separately, which is like a new Patreon thing. I don't really know how it works. It's new. I haven't tried it yet. Patreon is coming up with new stuff all the time, and I don't use a lot of it, so you can use that too if for some reason you don't want to sign up to a recurring membership, but maybe you want to have access to those slides, because all of those things are topics that I either can't or won't really get into on YouTube. Like basically anything. Like I can't even put the word BDSM in a thumbnail now. Like I have tested this now several times, and I have found that when I put BDSM in a title of a video, like I upload a video, I have it with a different title, like maybe I say kink instead. If I replace kink with BDSM and I hit save, instantly it will go from green $ monetized to yellow $ not monetized. So that's new. That's new in the last like 3 or 4 months, which really sucks. But yeah. Oh, and we have a super chat from Twixie. I met my new Metamor last night, and we clicked instantly, started conspiracy, or I think maybe conspiring against our Dom in order for our demands to be met. Oh my gosh, you're already starting talks of building a union. That is fantastic. I'm so happy for you, Twixie. Metamor relationships are so complicated. Like, sometimes you meet a meta and you're like, oh, I see why you're dating this person, but they're not really, like, my sort of human. Sometimes you meet Metamors and you, like, butt heads and you're like, I don't know why you two are together. And sometimes you meet people and you're like, okay, we have one goal, and it's to take down our mutual partner, which is funny. So I'm happy for you. I'm glad that went well, and good luck as that continues to go. That's super exciting. But yes, I was gone 2 weeks ago because I was at Dark Odyssey Surrender. I also have a story time about that whole experience over on my Patreon. And what was the other thing? And last week I was gone because my dear precious bandit, who is currently wandering around, and now is, oh my gosh, you're directly behind my chair. Well, you're just right there, so I'm gonna pick you up. Hi, girl. I know. I don't want to run you over because you're right behind me. Hi, ma'am. What were we doing last week? Do you remember? Do you remember what we were doing last week, little fuzzy dog? You probably don't, because you're a dog, and dogs don't really have memories like that, I don't think. Yeah? Yeah, we had a little upset tummy, didn't we? Yeah, we did. Why was that? Because we ate a little French fry. So, Miss Bandita, she has not been formally diagnosed by a vet, because my vet has not been very helpful, to be honest with you. But I am pretty sure that she has, as she's gotten older in the last, I would say, year and a half, she's developed chronic pancreatitis. And if she has any kind of fatty food, like literally a single bite, like a shred of cheese or like even like dog kibble that's a little too fatty, like it will upset her digestive system, and that will just cause havoc for like 3 to 5 days. And it was really, really bad last week, starting when I came home on my whole thing, because I missed my flight because my ride got a flat tire, and then I had to fly home really late at night, and it was a whole deal. But then when I got back, she basically instantly started having tummy troubles like the same day, and it was just a roller coaster. And then she was not eating any food. You weren't eating any food at all, and it was making me really worried. You wouldn't eat anything. No, ma'am. Like later in the week, after basically not eating for a day and a half, I could get her to eat like tiny little handfuls if I hand fed her on the ground of like a little bit of rice and pumpkin. And she would have a couple of bites, and then that was it. And so then we tried to get help from a vet, and the vet basically said, you can come in tomorrow. She's not feeling better. We don't have any more appointments today. And lo and behold, the day that I called in to get that handled, she started to feel better, and she actually ate. Oh, it was just rice and pumpkin, but we did eat a full meal. And then after that, we were basically better, huh? And now look at you. It's like nothing even happened at all. You're just like zoning out. Everything's regular. Everything's normal in Bandito world. Yeah. Now we're just back to the usual routine, huh? And she's had like reactions like this before, but she's never like not eaten any food for a whole day. Let alone like multiple days where the only thing she would have over the course of like 3 days was like a couple of little tiny bites of something. And she doesn't really eat a whole lot to begin with, but even that, a little amount, I was like, how are you okay, dog? How are you not so hungry? But she was fine. Are we okay? Hi, I know. It's hard being an old girl, huh? We can't have anything fun. Can't have anything fatty. Oh no, no more bacon, no more cheese. None of that stuff. But anyways, that's the Bandita update. She's doing fine. But I didn't know it was a thing that could happen to older dogs. I haven't really had a lot of experience with older dogs before, and certainly not any dog that's her age. And it really freaked me out the first couple of times it happened. But now that I know what's up, it's like, we've done all the testing, we've gone to the vet, and she's on a special diet that's like really strict. But every once in a while, we just get into something, or somebody forgets something, and then we get an upset tummy for a little bit. Yeah. Like maybe we eat a little bit of another dog's food. Yeah, are you guilty? No, you're an angel. You're not guilty of anything. Anyways, that's the Bandita update. There we go. Bye. Unless you want to stay in my lap. I guess we can try that if you want to. Do you want to be in my lap? Okay. We'll just keep... Oh, okay. This is how she likes to lay on my lap most of the time. She doesn't really... Like, she likes it when I have a little, like, nestling spot for her chin. But, like, I don't know. She might stay up here. She might not. So you might just see... Yeah, only low-fat goodness. Yeah, like, it's the 90s. Like, she's on, like, a 90s diet. Remember when we all thought, like, any kind of fat was evil? Like, basically just that, honestly. She is an itty-bitty little baby. I think long-term recall is a bit of a stretch, maybe even more as a Pom. Pom's just happy to be here. She really is just, like, happy to exist, honestly. She's, like, in 1 year, out the other, truly. Like, I'm pretty sure the day that she started to feel better, the previous week just got, like, flushed from her brain. And she was like, well, everything's fine now. Never mind. It just doesn't really matter. Yeah, but she's doing a lot better. So anyways, I missed the stream last week because of that. Oh, my God. Metamore also told me... Metamore also told me to bite my Dom's cock if I feel the need to brat, as if that thought never crossed my mind. I mean, it's a good point. I've actually taken a class where they talk about how to bite the head of a penis, and apparently the key point is you really, I forget what the like anatomical term for it is. I think it's the you basically like want to put continual distributed pressure right between where the head of the penis like meets the shaft. Like right in that area is apparently like the safe zone. Or safer zone. I mean, it's biting a penis. My old Ridgeback gets sunflower oil with her meals for her digestion. Otherwise, she gets nausea, but the sunflower oil has it solved. I mean, I wouldn't say that's my issue. Like, I tried at the time when this started, she was getting oil supplements that had sunflower in it. She was getting, like, I tried 2 different ones, actually, because I wasn't sure what was causing it. And she had, like, some salmon sunflower oil omega mix for her joints. And that she's, like, suddenly stopped tolerating. But that sounds like it's probably a different thing than what she was dealing with. But, like, she doesn't really seem to get nauseous. She actually wasn't, like, when this happened, she very rarely throws up. That's not normally her way. Oh, my God. I forget when I have the dog up here. I get hair sticks to my lip gloss. All of the little fluffy doggo hair. Yeah, also don't buy cocks without permission because some, like myself, will just see red and it will not be good. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely any kind of, anything requires negotiation, but especially any kind of unusual genital contact needs to be very specifically negotiated, because I've also had partners that are very, let's say, pro that experience, and I've also had partners that are very anti that experience. So you gotta make sure you know what you're doing and what your partner wants to get out of that more than anything. I'm so in love with this being the combo after weeks of this being on. I miss this all so much. Oh, Eggy, I'm glad we're back. Yes. Yeah, bandit hair, cock biting, and seed oils. Yeah, she does look a little guilty. I know. She didn't do anything wrong, though. She's just so cute. To be fair, she has gotten into things before. She will mostly eat things outside. Can Bandit have carrots? She can. I don't know if she can eat them, though. She's kind of a meat and potatoes sort of girl. Like, she'll eat. What veggies will she eat? She will not eat any kind of berry, which is not a vegetable, but same difference. I have gotten her occasionally to eat, like, apple, like a little tiny piece of an apple or a pear, because my parents have, like, apple and pear trees, but those upset her stomach, so she doesn't get those anymore. She'll eat pumpkin, obviously. And the only vegetable I've seen her willingly eat is, like, cooked small pieces of green bean. Anything else I've given her as far as vegetable, she's just like, she'll lick and then look at me like, what's that? Like, she does not understand that it's a foodstuff. Carrots, I don't think I've tried, especially not like a cooked dice, like little baby carrot. I've not tried, but she might go for it. My elderly cat is the opposite. Wolfs down everything, whether for human or cat, and then throws it up. Oh no, poor buddy. To be fair, I think vomiting is like a more typical response for cats. I don't have any experience with cat ownership outside of like a roommate having a cat, so don't take my word as gospel on that one. Oh, for the record, I wasn't saying it would fix her stuff, but I'm happy it's worked for my girl. Oh, sure, fair. Yeah, and I'm glad. I know with older dogs, especially with like how expensive vet care, like medication is these days, if you can find something easy that works, that's the stuff for sure. I am of the, is this a phrase that exists? I am of the when in doubt, leave the teeth out school of oral sex. I don't know if that's a phrase, but we can start using it as a phrase if somebody else hasn't like taken ownership over that. Yeah. Yes, and we have a story from Sean, so I think maybe let's do that, and then we will get into the rest of the stream. So I'm going to go over to FetLife, and Sean has a new chapter in the Sean extended universe to tell us about. Oh, great. You okay, Mama? Here we go. All right. Oh, this is a long one. All right, buckle up. Here is a story from our dearest Sean, and it begins. As some of you are aware, I was going to be performing on Halloween at the House of Taz Kink or Treat Party. It turns out my performance was going to be the one to kick off the party, so I was extremely nervous. Things got started a little late, so we were kind of rushed in getting set up. I was wearing PU leather shorts with a thong, chest, harness, sandals, as well as my chainmail day collar and cuffs. Ultimately, I was led on stage with my leash and cuffs. I was stripped to my, it says to my song, which either is a phrase I don't recognize or probably means thong, and placed against the cross face first. The performance was largely impact-based. At one point, one of the tops was flogging my back, and the other was drumming with drumsticks on my butt. Ooh, that's very coordinated. Other implements, including some sort of strap and a foam that were used. I'm guessing I went into a sort of subspace, not sure because I was answering questions, but the performance was over before I knew it. After the performance, I got a snack and was drinking water, but the two tops kept coming and checking on me and asking if I was okay, and I couldn't figure out why. I guess I was sitting on the couch in the dungeon for over an hour. Oh, yeah, you probably had some subspace, and then, drop probably happened, and they were like, hey, you seem a little out of it, buddy. You doing okay? Yeah, for sure. Once I realized I had been sitting there that long, I got up and walked around a bit and found the boot black for the party, who did a wonderful job on my boots, which I had changed into following the performance, along with my kilt and vest. He has given me my permission to give out his FetLife handle, which is Eyelander, eyes, like a body part, Eyelander. There was also a professional kink photographer at the party. Ooh, very fun. That's not really a thing in places I've lived, but I know in the Bay Area there, and I'm assuming in LA as well, there's not all the time, but it's a lot more common for there to be staff photographers at parties who will take your picture, which I think is great. I think that's a thing that should happen at more play parties, because then you know that nobody has an incentive then to they have less of an incentive to sneak pictures, because somebody who's really good and has actual good photography equipment will take a picture, as opposed to somebody's iPhone or whatever that they're trying to be sneaky with. I'm still waiting to see pictures, but he's available to anyone in the LA area who wants any boudoir, nudes, kink-style photos taken. He has also given me permission to share his FetLife handle, which is Obsidian Drop. The host of the party that informed me that I was going to be one of the judges for the costume contest, which was a blast. Ooh, costume contest. Kinky costume contest, nonetheless. Categories were best costume, best group costume, and sexiest costume. The contest was followed. I snorted a little bit because I started thinking about there was a pie sitting contest that I saw at a camping event this year, and it got real silly. The contest was followed by a raffle and then birthday celebrations, including the host as well as my own and several other Scorpios. Oh, it is. Is it still Scorpio season? Heck yeah, Scorpios. The party pretty much wrapped up after that. The following 2 days were the worst drop I had ever experienced. I think that may have been due to the amount of adrenaline I had flowing due to being nervous at being the very first performance of the night. Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh, well, I'm so sorry you had really bad drop, Sean. It sounds like your tops were checking in on you, so, I mean, I guess you can take this at least as a lesson that if you're going to be doing more performances, either try to do them later in the evening, if you can negotiate for that, or definitely plan for extra aftercare and time to relax, because that does sound rough. Yeah, performance definitely, we don't talk about that, but performance can definitely add an extra layer of intensity to the scene, and that means it can just be more draining, even if it also makes it more fun, because you're being watched and it's exciting and it's exhibitionism, and extra fun can sometimes mean more consequences later. Aftermath pictures as well as our playlist are up on my FetLife, which is Dernwin, and Sean can put their @ in the chat if they would like to. Again, anyone wanting to friend me or follow me, please let me know that you have found my information here on the live stream, and I will approve you. As far as the caller conversation we were trying to have on the last Friday stream, because I had to censor the word caller on my live streams, and so that made it really difficult to talk about, because at one point, for some reason, a year or two ago, I had somebody who would just spam every variation they could find on the word caller to annoy me for some reason. So I had to censor it on all of my platforms, and so if anyone had a message or a question that had the word caller in it, it just got yeeted into oblivion. I have two different colors that I wear, a chain mail collar and a circle closure. I believe that this is called a slave circle, but I am unable to take that one off and on as I like. The second one I have is a black one that Amp got his video about kink sales on TikTok. Ooh, live stream correspondent, Sean signing off, yes. Now I'm curious, now I want to see what the metal circle one is. And the black chain one. Oh, yes, you're right. That is the one that we saw in Pup Amp's video, the black chain one. If it's like a solid metal circle, like not like a continual piece of metal and not a chain link or not something like that, right? Or a cable, that I've seen just be called like a ring of steel or like a ring collar. I don't think I've ever heard it called the phrase that Sean used for it, but maybe it is. I'm actually really excited because I have been looking for a magnetic closing metal like ring collar, because I've you know, if you guys have been around the channel for a long time, you probably remember me at some point wearing a locking permanent metal collar around my neck. And I had gotten that from a company called Ring of Steel, which unfortunately has been out of business for a number of years now. They no longer make collars because the person who was making their collars, their partner unfortunately passed away. And so they just like understandably lost passion around making this, you know, very personal type of item, and they didn't want to make it anymore. And I had wanted to maybe at some point, you know, I had the traditional one, which is normally like it's a metal ring. It has a hinge on one side. The opposite side will have some kind of usually concealed like screw in it, essentially, that's like partially hidden. There's a couple of different ways that works depending on the company. The one that they had for Ring of Steel, it would like partially, it wouldn't fully thread all the way out. It would partly thread out enough to open it, and then you could like close it and then re-thread it up. And I had that style for a long time, but I had been wanting to get a magnetic closing collar so that way I could have one that I could wear. Like, I like the idea of wearing something like that for like maybe like a high protocol thing, or like when it like makes sense in my relationships to wear something like that, but not having it be like a displayed, you know, 24/7, I'm wearing it on camera, like for work sort of deal. And I just could not find anyone in North America that was making a magnetic ring collar. So many of the ring collars online, even the ones that are from the UK and Canada and the US, there's one really big manufacturer, Eternity Collars, that has a good reputation, is well known, and there's a ton of vendors on Etsy that all essentially sell the same thing, which I'm pretty sure for the most part are resold things from wish.com, and none of them make a magnetic closure, unless I'm wrong. If somebody knows of a place that makes a magnetic ring collar in North America, what the noise is coming from my bathroom. Is that the ghost again? It's the ghost again! Oh my goodness! Why didn't you warn me about the ghost? Aren't animals supposed to have extra senses? No? Nothing? Nada? Okay. Too much pressure, I guess, to be able to tell me when the bathroom ghost is gonna act up. I'm like semi-serious about believing there's a ghost in my bathroom. Not even semi, I'm like demi-serious. I'm like 1/4 serious about there being a ghost in my bathroom. It's just the only thing that makes sense, honestly, because I don't know about electricity and wiring in houses enough to be able to explain it otherwise. But there's a mysterious noise coming from that side of the house. I'm assuming it's a ghost. Anyways, I haven't found a lead on a magnetic closing ring collar in North America, but if anyone can tell me where to get one in North America, that's fine. But I have found one from the Netherlands, and that makes me excited. I don't know. I think their magnetic collar only comes in steel, which is a problem for import reasons. I was gonna look up, they have a titanium collar that, actually they have two styles. They have a really interesting one that has the traditional like hinge and then magnetic kind of closure on the opposite side. And that one, I think, comes in titanium or steel as is. But then they have another one that's like a really interesting, like, seamless ring design that actually looks very similar to some body jewelry. And now that I'm thinking about it, I know that there's like a term for it, and I want to look it up. It's like nose ring designs. Like, there's a term for it, and I don't. I should probably put in a septum ring, actually, not nose ring. That'll get me what I'm looking for. Septum ring. Maybe you should do like types, because it's like a segment ring or a hinged ring or something. Oh, it's a segment ring. It's a segment ring design, but like bigger. So as opposed to a segment ring that you would get for a piercing, it's big enough to go around your neck. And I haven't seen anyone do that style of design for a BDSM thing before, especially not around a neck. So I was like, ooh, that's really interesting. But I am sure importing absolutely fucking anything metal from Europe right now is going to be crazy expensive on top of how expensive items like that already are. So that's probably just a pie in the sky dream to get something like that at some point. But you know, maybe at some point in time I'll find myself in Europe again, and I can, like, I don't know, either pick it up in person or like get it delivered to my hotel. Like, there, you know, if there's a will, there's a way, and maybe that'll work out at some point. But yeah, that's exciting because they were the only people I know who made something like that. And I know someone who had one for a long time that really liked it because they were a switch, and so they liked the easy option of switching out a collar so they could have something to wear with their partner who was their dom, and then they could take it off easily when they were playing with other people. And like, I don't know, just I'm not big on the, like, I don't know, it's kind of like I've been there, done that, you know, with like permanent locking collars. Like I see the appeal and I get why so many people like wearing them, but at this point in my kink journey, like having that specific symbol, especially because it's so prominent now and vanilla people recognize it, like it's not like stealthy anymore. Like if I want something that's going to be like a private symbol between my partners and I, it's not going to be a big honking piece of metal around my neck. Like, there are definitely vanilla pieces of jewelry that people wear that look very similar, but if you're wearing it every single day with every single outfit, people are going to be like, what's that? I have also seen a couple of YouTubers that are definitely wearing O-ring day collars, and I'm pretty sure a lot of their audience knows what's up. And I don't know if that's a problem or not, but I'm like, you've been wearing that in every video when you're not wearing a turtleneck sweater, so it's probably just underneath the turtleneck. Yeah. Hi! Are you ready to get down? You seem a little restless, honey. Yeah, do you want to get down? Okay. Are you ready? Yes, you're ready. Okay. What up? All right, I'll see where she settles, and then I will turn Doggo Cam back on. OMG, hi, I just noticed my YouTube username got swapped randomly. What the hell? Oh, I don't even know how that happens. Is it a circular barbell? No, but there are ones that look like that are kind of like a torque shape. It's a segment ring is what it is. Yeah. She could be friends with the ghost. It's true. I'm just imagining Bandit and Scooby-Doo being like, no, I'm not gonna go in there. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe she just, wisdom tells her to not interfere with the ghost. That's a distinct possibility for sure, for sure. All right. Okay. How about we get into some questions? Seems like a good time to get started on that. I think we already answered this, but yeah, Bandita is doing just fine, or Bandy. Also, I don't normally call her Bandy, but that is a good nickname. I'm very pro that. The holiday season is one of my favorite times, but it is bittersweet. It is bittersweet. It's like a weird, I don't know, I feel like, at least for my life right now, like holidays enter a very weird like time period. Like they're not really like fun, honestly. They're mostly just like really stressful, because usually it means like most holidays, this is like more personal what I normally talk about on live streams and stuff, but I'm like, I don't look forward to like Thanksgiving or Christmas most years, because for the last couple years, my both of my two living grandparents who are still around both have pretty advanced dementia and are in memory care in a really rural place in the middle of nowhere that we have to drive to get to. And so most of my holidays are spent with like very, very ill, very old relatives. And that's how my family wants to do the holidays until they pass. So that's what we're doing. And it's not very fun, honestly. But it is what it is. And they're at the point, they're like, they're not in hospice or anything, but you know, they don't know what they don't know that it's the holidays. They don't know. They know, like, if you ask them what Christmas is and Thanksgiving, they know. But, like, if you say, oh, they're like, oh, what are we doing? It's like, oh, well, we're having Thanksgiving dinner. And they're like, oh. And they're kind of confused about it. And oftentimes, like, they're like birds. They're angry that their routine or habit has been disturbed by, like, this new different thing that they're doing. And it kind of throws them off a little bit and makes them upset. And yeah, it's not, boy, not fun. Not fun for anyone involved. It's not, don't like it. I don't know. It's like no one never tells you how to handle your elderly relatives being in like advanced memory care. Like, that's not part of conversations I had growing up. Yeah. US has more holidays than over here. 3 times the stress, I would go mad. Oh yeah, especially like Thanksgiving and Halloween. Yeah, counting those two. I actually like Halloween. I think mostly because it's not a family-centric holiday, so I'm not expected to do anything or drive anywhere or sacrifice like 3 to 4 days of my time to do something that's like depressing and upsetting. I can just enjoy the season and get to like spend it locally and do things that I enjoy. And it's like there's no pressure to do anything in particular. Like I feel like Thanksgiving and Christmas, there's so much bound up in like traditions of doing things a certain way. And like, well, we have to spend time with these people and we have to go do this and we have to do this. And Halloween, I feel like, especially as an adult, is sort of like a choose your own adventure situation. You can have it be a family thing. Like, I know people with little kids, like, people in my life with small children where like trick-or-treating could be an option. I know adults that throw parties and like parties could be an option. Or I can just be at home with friends, with loved ones. I could make apple cider donuts and we can watch Vampire Hunter D. And that's all Halloween has to be. Hey, Evie, looking good. Thanks. I'm practicing different makeup looks. Trying to find something that works every day. And then I do something that's way too complicated. It's like my brain is like incapable of doing like simple makeup. It's like, but what if we did gel eyeliner pen and then we did black eyeshadow and then we did on top of that liquid eyeliner and then what if we did eyeshadow and then if we smudged the lower lash line and then what if we did top and bottom lashes and then what if we did mascara and then what if we drew on our eyebrows and then what if and suddenly it's taken me half an hour to do my makeup. Honestly, I think it was like 40 minutes. I was working on it for a while. Oh, I ran a 5K today without training because my assistant director said we could get out early. We did the race with her and now I'm sore as fuck. I did not. I was like, oh, Twixie, I didn't know that you ran. And then, well, it's a good enough reason. And then Twixie says, I feel your feelings on holidays so hard. I only have one living grandparent and I'm making a concerted effort to spend as much time with her until she either dies or ends up with dementia. I mean, if you have a grandparent that like knows you're their grandchild still and is like, what's the word I'm looking for? I forget the word that I'm searching for, but like they're still together. They still are aware of what's happening, even if they have like limited like physical ability at this point, or they can't do certain things they used to do anymore. If they are at least that aware, like definitely spend time with them, because when they get to the point where they like are losing things all the time and don't recognize you, don't recognize anybody. Like the last time we were there to go visit my family for the holidays, like it was just really stressful the whole time, and like my grandparents were fighting, and I don't know, like it was like they I don't know, it was very bizarre. Like it was like there was no holiday spirit whatsoever. It was fielding a fight between my grandparents, who I've never seen fight before in my life. Like my grandparents are like very quiet people. They do not do anything, like, they've never had drama. They've never had a dramatic relationship, and then suddenly dementia happens, and suddenly, like, if they are around each other at all, it's like bad. So yeah, I don't recommend it, honestly. I don't recommend it. And yes, I did read Sean's story. It's the eyes. Thank you. I do like the eye makeup. I want to do maybe a simpler version of it. I can't decide if I want my like simple everyday eye makeup to be something with a winged liner and lashes, or if I want to do like an all over, like very neutral, like sort of my skin, but better like eyeshadow, and then do very light eyeliner and mascara and maybe some individual lashes, but not doing a wing or anything. I haven't decided which thing I like better. I guess I could maybe do both depending on what I want, but I feel like I need a signature thing that's like not YouTube makeup. As much as I like doing my YouTube makeup, like it's sometimes stuff I would wear it in public, but because I'm on camera and like lights and all that stuff, you know, I make it bolder than like what I think makes sense for like all the outfits I end up wearing. I don't know. Cognizant. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. The eye look really slays. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I like this eyeshadow color. It's like hard for me to find a good like neutral eyeshadow color that doesn't pull either like too mauve or too pink or too orange, and like I don't know what that means about my skin tone exactly, but yeah, this works for me. Yeah, thank you. Well, we'll keep lucid. Yeah, the lucid or cognizant, I think probably both work for what I mean for that. But yeah. But anyways, I think it's very funny that running a 5K, which is what, it's like 2 miles and change, without any training, is just like, oh, I can go home early. Well, even if you're really slow at running, that would take you like 25 minutes. So. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure what the average like 5K time is. I'm just kind of going off of like, if you ran a 10-minute mile, how quickly could you finish a 5K? In my 50s, it hit my body like a Mack truck. Nowadays, I'm more like a box of Rice Krispies. Snap, crackle, pop. Oh my God. Joints. Yeah. One of the many reasons I enjoy working out is I hope that my body will weather aging a little bit better than some of the people I know in my life that have not been active through their 30s and 20s and into other years. Oh my God. Okay. Phoenix says, hello, I'm 18, a few months into my submissive journey. Great. Glad you started when you were 18 and waited until you were an adult. The dungeon I've been going to was shut. Oh my God, what a time for YouTube to lose memory. I believe what the last of that was their dungeon shut down because the owner of the venue was taking and selling pictures of people on the dark web, which is crazy. That's what? Like, is this on FetLife? Is this like a big story? Because I instinctively feel, and like, if this is like a private thing that's not like, is not like out, okay, then we'll talk about it here in the live stream and nowhere else. But if this is, has this like been discussed? Has this been on FetLife? Do people know about this? Because, oh my Lord, that is so wrong. Like, when I say it's good for venues to have house photographers, I don't mean that. I mean like an actual professional photographer who gets hired to work at parties. And if you approve them taking photos of you by choosing a particular color of wristband or whatever, that means they can take your photo. And that's it. They're not taking sneaky videos to sell on the dark web. No, I don't like it. Wow, that is really bad. I'm so sorry. I mean, honestly, it really is a what can I say but yikes kind of moment. That is just when you think you've heard it all. And I often say that what often ends public dungeons, it's not like anything dramatic. It's not like a raid by police. It's like health code violations, fire code violations. You know, they catch the eye of the fire marshal or somebody, and you know, it's all she wrote. But wow, that's bad. I don't no, that's oof. That's definitely a new one on me. I wish I was shocked, but like, you have to be really wary of the kind of person that would run a dungeon, because a lot of the people who run dungeons are, how do I say this nicely? They're self-important. like they view themselves as like, I'm the pillar of the community, and you know, I'm like this fixture, and like they make themselves a local celebrity, or they're a local celebrity in their own heads, and they want that power, they want the social acumen that comes with that, and they are drawn to operating a venue, which usually is a labor of love, operates at a loss. Like, it's not a money-making operation most of the time, depending on where you live and like what other things that they may do with the space. Like, the good Samaritans that might operate a dungeon well are usually the least able to open a space like that, and the kinds of people that would use a space like that for nefarious purposes are a lot more often financially and time-wise able to operate such a space, and, well, there's an example of how that can go wrong. No, I did not lose the submitted questions. I just lost the chat temporarily. But yeah, I saw the one about the dungeon owner, and I was like, oh my goodness. I just told my dom she's not allowed to watch your punishment videos. Well, good on you for setting boundaries. That's probably for the best. To be fair, I feel like I have a lot of good ideas in those videos, so maybe you want to take some notes to share with your partner about like, hey, here's some things I think could really work for me. And maybe that's better than, like, not watching them at all? Because maybe there's punishments that will really work for you and won't be, like, dastardly mean. But also maybe you kind of want that a little bit. I don't know. But good for setting boundaries, I'd say, is the main thing. All right, let's get to some questions from the Q&A. And I will say once again, if you would like to submit something for the Q&A, it is right up there. It is in white. So if you go to the top of that, it'll collate all the questions together, and then it'll just make it easy to get to them. Obviously, people don't always put questions in there, so I do like read through the chat still to like keep up with the conversation. But that's the best way to make sure that I actually see your question, is just to put it in there if you can. Oh my gosh, my friend, it's good. My friend was filming porn during a private party without anyone's consent, just filmed herself, but there was no guarantee that people didn't film anyone else there. Been distancing myself from her, but I feel like I should block her or something like that. I mean, that's really a personal choice. I wouldn't say that you are morally obligated to block her. Like, I guess I would ask, like, what purpose would blocking her serve at this point? Like, if you're... I almost want to keep tabs on a person like that, you know what I mean? Like... I would not, like, people will say on FetLife, like, my friends list isn't an endorsement, which I think is a good policy. I would look at it less like, I mean, it's one thing if she's reaching out and you're like, oh, what do I do? Like, you can have a conversation with her, and not even really a conversation, you can just say, like, hey, just so you know, your behavior at that party made me really uncomfortable, like, please don't contact me. But you don't necessarily have to block them. Or you don't even really necessarily need to say that if they're not actively trying to talk to you and you weren't really close. But I like when people already act kind of sussy, I kind of like being able to keep an eye on them and like not blocking them, because then I can see what they're up to in public and like what parties they're going to be at. It helps me like be able to avoid them and not share space with them, which I think is worth it. But I don't, as long as it's clear to other people that you're not endorsing her behavior or not supporting her, then like that's the important part, really. But oh my god, filming at a public party, that's just oh my goodness. Do we just like not know how to operate as like members of a social species anymore? Like, do we just not know what like privacy is? People are losing it, man. They are fully and completely losing it. My god, that's what can I say? But yikes, strikes again. One of the local events we had was called Nefarious, and the owner organizer, what he said he would do, what he did do were not the same thing. Yeah, that'll happen too. And sometimes that's nefarious, and sometimes people just have really poor self-insight. And this has been something that has plagued me as an individual person. Fellow humans in the chat, I'm sure some of you can relate to this. You might be too cognitive if you constantly try to figure out the logic behind other people's behavior. part of me surviving as a weirdo, little introverted kid and woman has been dissecting other people's behavior and trying to figure out, like, why are they doing what they're doing, and being really compassionate and giving people excuses and the benefit of the doubt. And that will fuck you up. And then you hear what people say about themselves, right? I'm caring, I value consent, I'm a community builder, I'm doing this for the good of other people, blah, blah, blah. And you go, oh, well then, like, they know themselves best. They know what they're talking about. And it takes what? Oh, that's what's happening. Apparently, if I press the space bar, it turns off the pet camera. I don't know why it's doing that. Also, today's creatine flavor is pineapple. And then people just do whatever they feel like doing. They have a self-image of themselves of all those things, and then they sort of contort their perception of their own behavior to fit within that model, and then reject what doesn't work as part of that. And they continue to tell you who they are. And if you attempt to point out some kind of incongruence with their behavior and words and actions, they're like, oh, no, you're just not seeing me correctly. Oh my God, I had an ex-partner that would do this all the time. And I would be like, hey, so you say X, but then you do Y, and that doesn't square for me. And then they would be like, oh, no, you're just seeing me wrong. You just don't get it. You don't understand. And that continued for years and years and years and years and years. And eventually I realized, actually, you don't have to give people the benefit of the doubt when they tell you who they are over and over again, if that is not matching their words consistently. If somebody is consistently messing up, doing something that's counter to their values, how their actions are is more important than what they tell you that they are, if that makes sense. So just, you gotta be careful with that. But the hard part is you can't really know who someone really is until you see them behave, and that means leaving room open to be hurt by their behavior potentially, which is, it is a risk. It is very much a risk. OMG's just described my last potential partner perfectly. Well, I'm glad that they were only a potential partner and not an actual partner, because dating somebody like that or playing with somebody like that, if you're a close play partnership or something, it is not fun, because when somebody has a really, really strong self-image that's based around I care about consent. I'm a person who cares about consent. And then you point out, okay, well, here's things that you've done or said that were boundary pushing or coercive, or here's maybe a problematic pattern in dating that you have or whatever. They go, oh, no. Well, no, actually that's fine because blah, blah, blah. Or no, you're perceiving that wrong because blah, 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 over and over and over and over again. It makes you feel crazy. It makes you feel like you don't do I know people? Do I not understand myself? They must know what's going on and I don't. And then you sit back and reflect on it. You go, oh no, they were so tied up in their own image of who they are themselves that they couldn't tolerate anyone else tapping on the window and being like, hey, here's how your behavior is out of alignment with your values. Because you could fix that, right? A normal person, maybe not normal, but a healthy person that has a large bandwidth could hear something about their behavior that's incongruent with their stated values and then figure out how to change that behavior so they could be in line with their values, as opposed to just rejecting it outright. Very different. Yeah, learning to believe what they show you consistently to be who they are, not who they say they are, is an important lesson. Mm-hmm. Oh, Evie got hurt by him a lot. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no. That sucks. Oh, God. It's just, it's so common, too. I don't know why. I think people just, as I was saying, a lack of insight is a persistent issue, unfortunately. Codependent people need codependent people, and when they encounter a non-codependent person, the game is over. I guess I agree to that to a certain extent. I think there are people like that have not previously had a codependent pattern, that if they've had like a recent fracture in their life, like something that makes them more vulnerable than they typically would be, like, you know, loss of a spouse, loss of job, massive life change, like they moved cross country, they got fired, something. Like if there's a vulnerability, there's a crack that a person can kind of cleave open more to take somebody that like maybe used to be in well-adjusted, happy relationships and make them vulnerable to being manipulated or to being in a codependent relationship dynamic or something. Because it's tempting to get into a like, why are people like this? Why does this happen? And the whys don't really like matter so much. Like it's interesting to think about, and it's maybe good for being able to examine other people's behavior. And it can happen for a bunch of reasons. Sometimes it's malicious. Sometimes people are very intentionally manipulative. But the big lesson I had to learn was that I mean, the image you get of manipulative people or toxic relationships is, oh, well, they do it on purpose because they're trying to get to something intentionally, and they have this like methodical, like evil villain kind of plan. And that's some people. But a lot of the more garden variety stuff is just pure instinct. Like it is just pure bad coping mechanism, neural pathway bullshit that somebody has just gotten away with doing for maybe their whole life. And that's just how they operate in relationships. I don't even realize they're doing it. They just know acting this way gets me what I want from other people, and so I'm going to keep doing it. Because that's how reinforcement works, unfortunately, for better and for worse. So, yeah, you got to be real careful with that. Absolutely. I have had times in my past where I didn't know better, but if someone went to bring it up, I own that I've done wrong and I have learned, and now I know and do better. I mean, that's really all you can do is just, you know, and not every, like, you gotta, like, kind of weigh, you know, who's saying it and, like, how important it is, because also you have to think about, like, what your values are, and they might not be the same as the person who's talking to you, and, like, I don't know, this is, like, maybe a bad example, but what comes to mind is, like, I'm a vegan, right? So, like, if another vegan came up to me and was like, oh, hey, did you know that food I saw you eating actually has an animal product in it that maybe I didn't know about? Maybe it's, like, not fully disclosed in the label or something. I'd be like, oh, my gosh, thank you for letting me know. Like, you know, I'll stop eating it. You know, that's it. Whereas if that was, you know, somebody came up to me and they were vegan, but I wasn't, and they were like, don't you know that has animal products in it? Don't you care about things? Don't you want to be compassionate? Like, I'm of course going to be like, well, like I hear about what you're saying, but like this is fine for like my moral values. So like I'm actually not going to stop eating this thing because I like it. And that person might judge you, and they might be like, well, but you know, this isn't how I would interpret the meaning of being compassionate or being empathetic or valuing the environment or whatever. But you get to make your own call of what that looks like. And sometimes, like, having people have those kinds of conversations with you can really make you think and go, yeah, you're right. I do think that I'm a compassionate person. So, like, how does this behavior square with my stated value? And, like, it's really difficult, though, to know where to draw the line on, like, what's a thing that I should care about versus something that I should care about because other people told me to care about, even if I don't. Oh my goodness. Maximum cuteness is happening. Are you licking the blanket? She's licking the blanket. I don't know why she does that. It's her favorite hobby, licking the blanket. I never trust what people say about food until I've checked because the number of misinformation people pass on. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm oh my God, that was another thing. I I've had non-vegan roommates, I've had non-vegan partners, and I've also had partners with plenty of allergies of their own. And that's like that's one of my biggest trust areas with new relationships is like, if you want to make food for me, if you want to, especially if they're not a vegan themselves, like I'm going to go with you and I'm going to check the labels because you might not know the difference, especially because oftentimes now the labeling is confusing on products where you are not practiced at looking for common allergens like egg and milk, plus other animal ingredients in a general nutrition label. On top of the fact that, like, there's a lot of products that are labeled as plant-based or something like that that actually do contain animal products, or maybe a company has, like, 6 versions that are non-vegan, but then one that is. Like, I've had this happen oddly a lot with bread. Like, I don't think people realize how much bread isn't vegan. That's, like, the number one thing I've had to be like, hey, just so you know, that bread actually has milk in it. Like, so that I can't eat it. You don't want to know what's going to happen if I eat that bread. It's just, you can keep it, but I'm not going to have any. Bread tricks people up a lot. That's a sneaky one. Because people, I mean, I feel like as maybe because I bake stuff, like, milk and bread makes sense to me. But maybe Americans that shop from grocery stores, if you just kind of look, if you're not used to checking labels, you just grab whatever's on sale that looks good. Like, you might not realize that, like, oh yeah, this brand that makes almost the same kind of bread, their stuff is vegan, but then this one isn't. Mm-hmm. She could be pretending the blanket's her baby. That is a distinct possibility. She does like licking things as, like, a self-soothing thing. And then she's old enough, I just, like, let her do it. I'm like, okay, fine, dog. I think Abby Thomas, Abby Thomas? No. Oh, Abby Thorne. Abby Thorne. Sorry, I don't know why. I don't know why I thought you said Thomas. I don't know where I got that from. Once discussed charitably interpreting people's behavior, saying that for her it was like gaslighting herself. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Bring back sourdough, just water, wheat, and salt. Yeah. I mean, you can still buy sourdough. I also love the idea of a cat with a little chili pepper toy. That is truly adorable. Have you heard of autodacrophilia and dacrophilia spanking? So dacrophilia is I'm gonna call it a fetish because it's been not otherwise specified, but a fetish for crying and then spanking. I mean, if it's a kink thing, I've heard of it, pretty much. There's very few. The last new thing I heard about in kink was, like, drone stuff. That was the first new thing I'd heard in a hot minute. So I'm aware of it. As far as, have I seen that content? Oh my goodness. Hi, puppy. We decided we weren't into the bed. We're done with the bed, huh? Why are you looking at me with that face? Okay. She had that look like she wanted to lay down, but then, like, couldn't fully decide where she wanted to do it. She finished her blanket licking, apparently. Now she's just back to being as close to the camera as humanly possible. Oh my gosh. There we go. Dog mode. Okay. I remember what I was talking about. Oh, yeah, dacrophilia. I'm aware of it. I haven't really seen it in any kind of content. I don't really watch adult content. I'm not really in spanking or fetish spaces, so that's not something I would run across. But I definitely know people that have those kinks and combine them. But if... and then autodacrophilia, I'm assuming, is, like, making yourself cry? Or having a fetish for yourself crying, even if you don't make yourself cry. I'm not 100% sure. I guess that could be interpreted both ways or either way. But yeah, it's not a huge thing I follow, I would say. How recently did you find out about drone stuff? It was whenever it got mentioned on a live stream. It was definitely, I think, in the past year. It might have been even in the last, like, 6 months. It was relatively recently. Definitely sooner than the last 2 years. Like, 2 years ago, I did not know what it was. So it had to be somewhere between the last year and a half and now, I would say. Not 100% sure when, because time, it just would be wobbly. She is aggressively adorable, it's true. All right, let's get to some questions. Okay, again, if you want to make sure I answer your question, you can put it in the question section of the live stream. I have a question here from Smitchart that says, "Hi, Evie. My partner and I are both kinky and have a dom-sub relationship, but it's very casual and we're wanting to take a step forward into a more serious power exchange dynamic. Any advice? So much advice. 1 second. I'm risking waking the dog up, but it'll be worth it. Uh-oh, I woke you up, didn't I? I know. Hi. You're so sweet, so fluffy. I know. All right, I recommend this book. So this is The Heart of Dominance by Anton Fullman. He has 2 books. One is The Heart of Dominance, which is the first one, and then the second one is Heart of Dominance, and what is the other one called? I also have that one, but it's not currently on my bookshelf, so that means I gotta Google it. Oh, the Dominance Playbook. That's what it is. I feel like this is a really great, friendly guide. I haven't... Oh, my goodness. Lost my... I was using my sticky notes as a bookmark. Because I read this once, probably 8 or 9 years ago, and I'm rereading it again now. And I really like this. I like Anton Fullman as an individual. I like how he talks about dominance, because it's very much not... one true way, you know, getting to the highest level of power exchange as quickly as possible, you know, forcing someone to submit to you and like molding them to you, blah, blah, blah. Like it's very like collaborative and teamwork focused, which is 100% my style. And I just like the way that he talks about it. Like it feels very like compassionate and aware of like partners' needs and like changing dynamics. So I would definitely read this if you want like a book resource. And they have tons of stuff in here about, especially in the second book, the Dominance Playbook, there's a lot in here about like kind of stuff for like what goes into a contract and like the overall structure of DS and like how to like realistically examining what it means to be in a DS relationship. So I really like this. But if it's currently very casual and you want to step into a more serious power exchange dynamic, I think it's like, this sounds like a weird question, but like, what is serious mean? What does serious mean? What is it about to you? Because I think serious could mean like more committed, more long-term, like we're trying to build a relationship that's 24/7. Or it could mean like higher levels of protocol, like more training. It could mean, you know, we want to do high protocol dinners. We want to have formal titles that we call each other. We want to do position training. You know, we want to do eye contact restriction. That could be one way of being serious. Or it could just mean like playing more often, like doing more scenes, having something that's like more official versus maybe a more like comedy, you know, kind of when things work out, casual relationship dynamic. But for me, when I'm transitioning a relationship from kind of that like beginner, like testing the water stage into something that's more serious, generally what I like to do, I'm a talking person, I'm a feeling person. I like having a very complete understanding of what my partners are looking for and where we line up. So I like to do an exercise where we talk about like, you know, what drew you to DS? What do you dream about having in a relationship? What are your goals in a relationship? How do you want to feel? And trying to really dig down into like, what are the motivations behind DS? What kinds of fantasies do they have about it? What would they want to have happen in real life? You know, what background do they have in this? What previous experience do they have? And then just seeing where those things are compatible and where they overlap. And figuring out, like, for me, I'm a very romantic person. Like, I generally have romantic relationships with my dominant partners. So for me, that means, like, you know, my draw towards DS involves, like, you know, romance and long-term commitment and that kind of thing. And so that's, like, the basis for how we move farther and get deeper with our dynamic. That might not be true for you, and that's also fine. And you can still like build a deeper relationship, even if that's not what you're looking for. I would say maybe what makes it more serious is having a concerted effort put in towards like building protocol based on what naturally comes up that feels authentic to both of you. Like maybe that's like sitting on the edge of the couch and like asking them to kneel for you. Maybe that's trying them like wearing out like a collar for the whole day, not just when you're in scenes together. Maybe that's trying out using different titles with each other, different forms of address, you know, playing with like furniture restriction or eye contact restriction or posture training, or, you know, having them serve you at a dinner table and seeing how that stuff feels. And developing more of a kink-focused rapport that exists outside of scenes. Because I guess that's, to me, what it comes down to, like, casual versus, like, more serious DS is, like, serious stuff exists more in sort of the everyday layer as opposed to just in the, you know, fantastical roleplay scene layer. And then, like, building out, like, rules and structure. And, you know, as an S-type, I like to start. Breaking the barrier makes it sound like it's non-consensual, and I don't mean it that way. So, like, okay, this is weird, but sometimes in vanilla relationships, I've heard people talk about, like, breaking the touch barrier with somebody for the first time. Like, when you're on a date, like, the first time you, like, touch somebody's shoulder or, like, offer them a hug or something, that's, like, breaking the touch barrier. And I feel like in kink, there's a moment where you break the control barrier and you give your partner an opportunity to dominate you. And for me, that's, like, oftentimes I will offer some kind of service to them, or I will ask them for help with something. So, you know, maybe my partner has just like moved into a new house and they need help organizing, and I offer to like help them organize their kitchen, organize their bookshelf or something. And then we find a way to make that sort of like DS-y, like maybe I do it naked or do it wearing a collar, or you know, they direct all of my actions, like in terms of like maybe, you know, how I unload the kitchen or like where things go, and they're kind of like sitting back with a stiff drink and like ordering me for what to do where. And that I think is a good place to start, because then the dominant partner can always understand, oh, this is happening and I know that my partner wants to do this because they offered it to me, and so I can kind of like flow with them, and then I know that this is something they want to do. You can't always take that for sure, because sometimes, especially with newer S-types, they're going to offer things that they think they should do or that they expect that you want, and then you have to calibrate and have a sense of when are they offering things that you genuinely like want, and when are they offering things that they genuinely want versus following a model or just like trying stuff out and seeing what sticks. But, you know, I'm more experienced. I do it as my job, so I'm pretty serious about BDSM. Like, I generally have, like, I don't offer stuff that what was that? So many weird noises happening today. What the frick? I generally don't offer stuff that I don't mean, right? So my partners can usually take heed in that. But it can also come from the other direction, too, of, like, breaking that barrier, being the dominant, offering an opportunity to submit to the partner through communicating, like, you know, I like actually starting more with, like, a praise kink kind of thing, honestly, because I think that more people are more receptive to that versus, like, a kneel worm sort of deal. But it depends on what you've already played with, you know what they like. So based on what dynamic you two might already have together, kind of imbuing that with an opportunity to like offer service or to do something for you. I'm sure that, like, I feel like it's really hard for me to speak from like a dominant voice, especially on camera, but like sort of like you know, if you want to please me, you can do this for me, right? Like, you know, if you want to serve me, you can do this. And, you know, it's an if. It's not a, like, do this now, snap, snap. It's like you have a choice. If you're in a headspace where you would like to say yes to this, you can do this. This is actually something that Anton talks about in his book as well. Like, giving somebody an option to say yes. And then they might say no. They might be like, actually, no, I'm really, like, tired from a long week at work, and, like, my back hurts and I'm on my period and I don't want to scrub the floors, but, like, thanks for offering. And there's a way to, I think what maybe is worth saying in that isn't said in this book, for example, is, like, how do you decline that in a kind way? And option one is offering something as a response, as an alternative that's like, thank you for the opportunity to serve. My body doesn't feel capable of that right now, but I would love to serve you by doing this if it would please you, right? So like offering an alternative thing that like works for you, that maybe is generally close or in the same ballpark that you feel comfortable doing and is not an outright rejection. Or if you just like, or you're not in a headspace to do anything, that's not your jam, whatever, doesn't matter the reason, you can say like, again, thank you for offering me the opportunity to serve. I would love to be able to explore that more, but unfortunately, I think right now my body isn't going to be able to do that, or I'm not in a good headspace for it, and I don't want to have a negative association with this kind of service. Like, I think especially when you're first stepping into stuff and you're wanting to make it more serious, it's really important that you're not like forcing yourself to go through the motions just to do stuff, because those first early experiences are so impactful. And if you are pushing yourself to do something when you're not in a good headspace, when you're already starting to feel a little bit of resentment bubble up, it's like not going to work out. This is not going to be good. Thank you for the advice. I'll definitely bring it up with him, and we'll discuss our ideas and goals and read the books too. Building on the existing relationship is a good idea. Yeah. So anyways, the point is just like sort of scaffolding, like adding on more and more. And I think if you want to have it be more serious, like doing those steps I talked about, and then eventually building out those requests for service and help, when you find they work really well, like converting those into more formalized rules for the relationship. Like, I think it can be fun to like start from scratch and just turn something into a rule right away. But if you don't really have a lot of background information yet, doing little tests about like, how do we feel about coffee service? How do we feel about drink service? How do we feel about eye contact restriction? How do we feel about whatever, you know, just by doing little moments of that can help inform you more accurately, like what makes a good rule for you or not. So maybe you do a bunch of stuff where, you know, you make them the coffee, or you help them with something, like maybe you do laundry for them, maybe you come over and, you know, you fold their laundry or something in the nude, and that works really well. Then maybe you turn that into a rule about like, you know, once a week you will make yourself available to offer domestic service around my house, something like that, right? And then bingo, bango, bongo, you do that enough times, and suddenly you've got a whole goddamn relationship. The end. Yeah, some questions can definitely be too personal. And then if it's too personal, I won't get into it. It's fine. But I appreciate the mods reminding people, because I do try to have, I feel like it's been long enough. I'm trying to like baby step more into giving a little bit more personal examples than I have in the recent past, in terms of like, this is the kind of stuff that I do, this is what I do with my relationships, versus being super generalized and being very non-specific. But that's a privilege. And you all can lose that privilege very quickly if you misbehave. So if you would like for me to continue feeling brave and offering more personal anecdotes with my answers, don't be fucking weird about it, is the answer to that. And if you are polite and you're not weird and invasive, then I might share more. Just saying. Yeah, plants and aliens don't really do anything for me. Yeah, please don't be weird. I mean, you know, social stuff is difficult for people. I get it, but yeah. But really good question. Submit chart. Definitely follow up if you have any other questions, and good luck. Because I know building a new relationship like that can be so exciting and so rewarding, but it can also be really nerve-wracking. So wishing you the best. Know anyone who does custom gear / equipment? This is from BC Yang. That is so general. Like, what even category of thing? Flogging stuff, paddles, bondage collars, day collars, kinky jewelry. The answer is most places will do some degree of custom work, from my experience, some more likely than others. People I know for sure will do custom work would be Firebird Leather, specifically for floggers in particular, custom floggers. Hellebore Art does custom collars. The Kitten Collection will do custom collars. Von Bondage will do custom collars and bondage gear. And let's see, anyone else I know who does like custom impact play stuff. I know there has to be a ton of people that do custom impact play stuff. I don't generally like, I think Holo Leather or Holo Whips will definitely do custom stuff more generally than Firebird Leather. Well, they have paddles and slappers and all kinds of things. They also do make floggers too, and they make knives and they make scratching claws. They will definitely do custom work. Anyone else I know that like currently is like actively taking custom stuff? Those are the ones that I recommend that I've either gotten custom stuff from before or that I've bought from before. If anyone else has a place that they know of that does custom work that they like, definitely feel free to put a name in the chat, but that's the ones that I have experience with. But it never hurts to ask, unless they say that they don't do customs on a website, and a lot of places don't. You can always just reach out, and especially if it's like a modification on something that's like really small, like maybe you really like a collar design, but it comes with like a locking buckle, but then you'd rather have it have a standard buckle. Like that's a really easy swap, and most people who make leather goods or kink gear for a living are going to be able and happy to accommodate that, because it's just a one person in like a shed, somewhere making this stuff. It's not coming off the ship from China where it's going to be impossible to modify. Yeah, so that's I'm 38 and only recently discovered an interest in BDSM. I've watched so many of your videos. Thank you for the work you do. You are so welcome, Drew. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's I feel like the mid-30s are like a great time to figure out kink stuff, because you're like you're still like young enough to where you have a lot of time to be in the scene and really enjoy stuff. And you're not so young that you're like liable to get taken advantage of by like bad actors, like in a specific targeted kind of way. It's so much harder to be like 18 and be in the scene. My goodness. Not to perpetuate a stereotype, but go to your local neighborhood. They usually have a shop. Don't be afraid to ask. I have done that, and I've also had negative experiences with that. I've had good experiences at Mr. S Leather getting custom work done, and in fact they keep archives. Pro tip, I don't know if they still do this, but if you were in the Bay Area, if you are a femme person and you would like feminine clothing for leather especially, they keep archives of a lot of the Mrs. stuff they no longer mass produce, but they have a shop that's literally upstairs that makes stuff by hand. And so if you're willing to pay the extra, I think it's like another 50% off of like the sticker, 50% on top of the sticker price or something for custom, they might be able to make like leather garments for you, for example. However, when I was in Seattle, we attempted to work with and I'm not going to name the company, but it's a brick and mortar store. It's in Seattle. It's in Capitol Hill. We had attempted to get custom work from them done. We actually had something smaller. First of all, we knew one of the leather workers there who was a personal friend of ours, and we'd also gotten something made by them before. And then we had put in a commission to make, I think we were getting a harness made or something, and we had gone and we even done like fittings and stuff. They had my measurements, and then we get an email from the shop that essentially said like, we're not comfortable like working, and it wasn't from the leather worker that we were working with, again, who was one of our friends. It was from like the shop owner, who was essentially like, we don't want to take on this kind of commission because we don't want to work with these types of people. Like, it was a sort of like, we want to keep this shop like for gay men only. And designing something for a cis femme person was like outside of the scope of what they wanted to do. So if you are a cis woman, probably even if you're a trans woman, if you're a straight man, I would be cautious about going to a gay men's leather store and expecting them to do custom work for you. because my experience with that has been very mixed, unfortunately. And I'm not here to say that they should feel one way about something, that they should have taken the commission or whatever. It was just really weird to get that deep into the process and then get like a passive aggressive email being like, we don't want to get a reputation of working with like your kind of people, right? They don't want to like. They were happy when we would come by with a munch group of new people and buy their gear, right? Because the other thing too, we would patronize that business a lot as a community. Like the TNG community actually would go there a lot to that specific store because we knew people who worked there, and we would take new people there. We would show them like floggers and crops and T-shirts and all kinds of stuff. And regardless of the orientation of the people that were going with us, like we would buy stuff. We would show people where it was. Like we gave them a lot of business. It wasn't like we were just coming in and expecting them to like take away time from other people, but again, that's how things go sometimes. Yeah. Scale issue then, maybe. I've been interested in it for well over a decade, but I never found anyone crazy enough to do it with me until I was in my 30s. I mean, also at the same time, Lexi, based on what you've told me about your life upbringing, I think, it's one of those like, were you ready when you were 22 to do BDSM? Like, would that have been a good idea, even if it was possible and you found a partner? Like, maybe not. Like, I think genuinely sometimes for a lot of people, like, there are people that are equipped to do kink at a much younger age and can do stuff in a healthy way at, like, 18, 19, 20. But it's also really common for that to lead to bad relationships or for that to lead to bad outcomes. So sometimes it's actually okay to, like, wait another decade until you got your shit a little bit more figured out. You know what I mean? Where is she now? Oh. Sweetheart, you look sleepy. She's got her like sleepy face on that she gets when she sleeps on one of her paws. It's ridiculous. It's so cute. Anyways, there she is. You're such a little cootie patootie. I love her. Okay. All right. I'm going to pop back over to the main chat real quick. I'm going to see if I've missed any follow-up stuff. And when we get back into more questions, again, if you would like to make sure I answer your question, you can use a super chat, or you can go to the pinned thing right up there. It's highlighted in white. It says, put your questions here. You can put your question there, and then I'll read it. Probably, unless it's weird, and then I won't. I do not make any promises about answering any particular question because, yeah, sometimes people are weird. I have helped run small businesses for years, and it weirds me out to turn business way like that. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking. I actually wonder if I went back now if things would be different. I don't even know if the same people run it anymore. But yeah, that was a really weird experience. I remember my partner was really upset about it. I just remember feeling so hurt because it was like, well, I really like this place, and we go here all the time. And like, what do you mean? Like, I was like, I don't know. Because it wasn't like, I mean, I don't think I did anything that was like, I don't think I made any comments ever did. Like, I don't even know how I would have done that or like done something that would have made them upset or like made them not want to work with us. Like, I don't know. It was very weird. Very, very weird. I just can't imagine doing kink on Xanax. Like, what is it even like? Maybe it's good. I don't know. It's not my thing at all. I just don't understand. Like, I just feel like it would, like, wouldn't it, like, numb you out and kind of disassociate you from your body? And then, like, at that point, what's the point of doing kink if you're just, like, not actually experiencing what's happening? Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's not what Xanax does. I'm not actually sure. I don't think drone kink involves flying drones, although it could. Perhaps a dark horse contender against the puppy girl phenomenon. Ooh, that's a good point. I've seen a few trans women I'm in a server with getting into the drone thing. Apparently, yeah. Oh, weren't you also stumped when I told you I recently found myself in orientation play / dyke conversion land? Oh, yes, that's right. I think I heard that more, like, that kind of thing I had heard existing before from the cis man is ordered to suck another man's cock kind of realm, like the forced by like femdom thing, but not that flavor of it for sure. That was a new variation. I love that it's growing and it crosses over a bunch, including pet play. I'm gonna have to make a video on it soon. I haven't looked into it enough to be able to explain what dronification is. But I am curious what it's going to be about, because I think it involves like bug stuff, but I'm not confident. Also, confession, I'm like not that big a fan of sourdough bread. Don't hate me. Unrelated, but me and my partner, Aura, have been working on our first... I thought you were saying that you have Aura, and I was like, ooh, nice. You're Aura forming in this chat, for sure. My partner, Aura, have been working on our first BDSM contract, adding bits and pieces when we feel ready. It's made us so happy knowing it'll be ready soon. Oh, that's so exciting, Eggy! That's so great. I'm so happy for you. Building a new contract is so exciting. For sure. Love it. As someone with a milk allergy, some people just say things that are absolutely untrue about milk. I don't even want to know, but I'm sure you're right. Absolutely. Like, oh yeah, well, it's baked or cooked or whatever, then it can't hurt you. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. Apparently one person was just like spamming in the chat and was like taking up a lot of room. So I'm trying to scroll up. No, I did not lose the submitted questions. They're all still in there. As far as I know. Maybe they're not actually. Maybe I did lose some and I didn't notice. No, I think I saw all of them. I think I did see all of them. I really need to exercise, but IDK, how to get motivated. Having chronic migraines doesn't help either. Ooh, I'm not sure about the chronic migraine thing. I have a family member that has chronic migraines, and they've just mostly treated it with medications as far as I'm aware, and like lifestyle stuff. I try to find exercise that's like fun to do, which I feel like that's like the most blasé answer for like, how do I get motivated to exercise? And for me, like at first I tried to find stuff that was fun, that like got me out of the house. So I've done pole dancing, I've done bar, I've done yoga. I have done like official like dance classes, but dancing in my room or dancing as a warm up. Anything that like gets your body moving, I think is good. And then I gained confidence through doing like yoga and bar stuff. Like I just hadn't like really worked out or moved my body much, like for years and years. All the way through my 20s and through school and everything until I was like probably 27 and maybe like 26. I started doing that kind of thing. It was a little bit before the pandemic. And I eventually just found it sort of intrinsically rewarding. Like I think kind of doing it that first day is hard and doing it that first week is hard. And then I started going to the gym, I started lifting weights, and then I just saw like so many good benefits from doing that it kind of was just like hard to turn back from doing it, and I still do it regularly. There was a time period like the middle of the pandemic where like I mean, kind of the first year of the pandemic, it was very on and off whether or not gyms were open at all, so I didn't go for a while. I did home workouts, and there was a period after I moved out of my ex-partner's house where like for probably a year and a half I didn't work out at all, and then I did like home workouts for a while, so I was like off of doing the gym for probably like 2 or 3 years because of circumstances, and then I got back into it when I moved here, and that was a big bonus. And then a little bit before, like I'd say maybe like the year before moving in here, I'd been consistently going to the gym as well, and it just became rewarding in and of itself. But I also don't know with a chronic migraine, like if there's maybe certain exercises that you shouldn't do or certain types of workouts that you shouldn't do, or maybe it's just like an energy thing. And I think it's like, you don't need to commit to like a Instagram worthy 5 a.m. everyday gym thing. Like, especially if you don't currently have any movement in your life, I would start with just like a once a week thing that's like fun for you to do. Like a Friday or a Monday. Monday's like the most popular workout day, by the way, because people will start on a Monday and they're going to be like, this week I'm going to start going to the gym. And then they trickle off by the end of the week. So I don't recommend having your first day at the gym be a Monday. I recommend like a Friday or a Saturday because those tend to be the least popular days at the gym, depending on where you live and your local gym and all that stuff. But my experience is normally Fridays and Saturdays are the least popular because people are out doing stuff and having fun. So that's a good way if you're insecure about working at the gym or you're worried about people judging you and you want to go at a quieter time. I also really recommend going either like, this is less true now than it was before the pandemic, but like late morning between like 9:30 and 10:30 is a really, really good time to go if you want there to be less people, or like really late at night. Like I go at like 11 p.m. I go late at night because actually here mornings tend to be, even through the mid-morning and afternoon, tend to be pretty busy. So the least likely time for other people to be at the gym is like 11 p.m. and later in the evening. But just find like one thing you like doing, taking a class you like. I really like yin yoga. I thought bar was fun. Anything that gets you moving. I think just a little bit, and then you don't have to commit to it more than that. And I think trying to do a sort of all or nothing thing makes it harder. Yeah, cardio is the devil with both asthma and migraines. Oh yeah, for sure. Then maybe don't do dance stuff, don't do bar. But weightlifting is, depending on how you do it. Weightlifting, which is what I do at the gym, doesn't have to be actively cardiovascularly intense. There are definitely ways of approaching weightlifting and ways of programming a weightlifting routine that makes it more cardiovascular, but you can definitely program it in a way that isn't going to be very cardiovascularly burdensome, outside of like leg day stuff. Leg day stuff can be hard for that, but I would probably look up, because I'm sure, I'm gonna just look it up right now. I'm just gonna Google it. I'm gonna put it on my YouTube, and I'm gonna see what YouTube has to tell me if somebody has designed a weightlifting routine for migraines. My nails are too long. I just voice to text everything now. Weightlifting for chronic migraines. Let's just see what pops up. Let's just find out. Oh, it's just a bunch of stuff about people who get headaches from workouts. Oh, there are people who do stuff for weightlifting when you have chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia and other stuff like that. Interesting. Strength training reduces migraine symptoms. Researchers find. Oh, okay, so like resistance training apparently can actually be good for migraines. As long as you're properly hydrated and all that other stuff. But yeah. Apparently some people get headaches just from working out itself, so that kind of confused the results. But I am sure if I looked for long enough, I would find somebody who's designed a weightlifting program or weightlifting exercises. Even you could just ask, probably on like Reddit. There's a ton of Reddit. I wouldn't go to the main weightlifting one, but there's like weightlifting groups for like with chronic illness and for like femme people and for like basically anyone who isn't a cishet man. And I would maybe ask there too about like, hey, this is my thing. How do I get started? What do I do? And then the friendly people of the internet will give you some ideas for what to do that would not be burdensome on your asthma and on whatever else you got going on. I would say the asthma too. I wear a mask when I work out, and I don't find it to be a problem. That might also, I don't know what if your asthma triggers are, if you're worried about like people's Axe body spray or their deodorants, or like people sometimes for weightlifting areas look at chalk in the air from they chalk their hands for grip. So if you're worried about that, I might advise wearing a mask that would be able to filter that stuff out and make your triggers less likely. Depending on what they are, that would be even relevant to a workout space. Can I ask something? Is it bad that I still hate being sober? Like the only reason I don't relapse is that I hated rehab that much more. I mean, I don't think that's bad. Like I know I've had a couple people in my life that have recovered from addiction, and I don't know any of them that like hate the drug that they were addicted to previously. Like, all of them that I can think of are like, insert drug here. Man, that was the best and it's so good. And they would, like, it's like, I can't be around it. Like, they would go back to it if it was available and it wouldn't catastrophically ruin their life to, like, knowingly get addicted to it again. They're like, it was really good and I loved it and it was amazing and I would definitely do it again. And not being able to take it kind of sucks, but, like, my life is, I know logically that my life is better not being on it, so I don't take it. So I think, like, hating being sober and struggling with that being a new thing in your life makes complete sense. And I think it gets easier with time as you build, like, alternative pathways for fun and enjoyment and relaxation and, like, you know, just have more opportunities outside of just, like, plodding through withdrawal and sobriety and, like, getting to a point where, like, you know, it's not as horrible as it was to go through rehab. I think most people hate being sober, but they know it's for the betterment of themselves and their families or friends. Yeah, okay. I accidentally turned off the pet camera with my water bottle somehow. I don't know. Oh, I could zoom in more on the doggo. More cuteness. Bandit's never done a drug. Bandit, technically straight edge. Technically straight edge. Straight edge for life. Oh, that's funny. I need to get back into weightlifting and exercise more in general. I've been so bad about it lately, but I've been doing push-ups and dips, going for walks, and riding my longboard. I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. Pull-ups, dips. I like, if you want to get, like, one of those, like, pull-up bars, I mean, that's, like, you're kind of, between that and the longboarding, you're kind of working out all the major muscle groups. Like, if you're just looking to be active in general, like, that's not too bad. I'm, like, so jealous of people that are testosterone dominant. Like, oh my god, the people in my life that are testosterone dominant that do, like, a half-assed workout for, like, 30 minutes, like, 4 times a week, and they just do, like, crunches and, like, push-ups, and, like, that's basically it, or, like, curls or something, and then they just look muscular. I'm like, so not fair. Like, you know how much effort I have to put into, like, programming a workout routine just to, like, not look like I work out but be slightly stronger? Like, it's so much effort. So much effort. Oh my gosh, yes. 15-minute warning. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the gifted memberships. Welcome to all of our new members. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I think most people miss it to a certain degree. I mean, there's a reason, you know, you know, unless you had, I think there are some people who are like, this drug is stupid and I hated being addicted to it and it sucked. And the people I know who say that, their vice was cigarettes. So when I will amend that. The people I know where their vice was, they were like a pack-a-day cigarette smoker. Like, they were like, that shit fucking sucked. It was stupid and I hate it. Like, they have very negative opinions about cigarettes. It's the other stuff that people have had stronger, more positive opinions about. Oh yes, we now get to view the toe beans. The beautiful, delectable, adorable toe beans. Totally random, but has anyone told you look like a young Winona Ryder? Yes, I have heard that before, and thank you. She is a beauty and an inspiration, and I hope I age half as well as she has, so thank you. So I got a friend that is hinting at wanting a relationship, but is like a relationship with you. I got a friend that is hinting at wanting a relationship, but is asexual and not really interested in physical intimacy. Should I suggest a non-monogamous relationship if I want physical intimacy? That actually is a hard question. And I would say it depends on whether or not either one of you have experience with non-monogamy. And you're also reading into them hinting at wanting a relationship. I would even maybe suggest, like, have you looked up what a QPR is, which is a queer platonic relationship? I have a video about it, by the way. I might talk to your ace friend, and I think it can be awkward, but I think if you have a friendship that's heading in the direction of, like, maybe being more than that, it's worth having clarity. And I might talk to them about like, hey, I know this might be like awkward. I've been picking up some signals. I just want to clarify, like, are you interested in like going on a date, or like maybe trying a relationship with me, or like going beyond just a friendship, or like however you want to phrase it. And then seeing how they respond to that. If they're like, oh no, like that's not what I want at all. Like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what you would have misread. If they say that, then don't continue. If they say like, actually, yeah, I was, I don't want to ruin our friendship, but I'm developing deeper feelings for you, and I want to be able to explore that. Then I maybe bring up something like a queer platonic relationship, and then that can be something that is also non-monogamous too, and trying to maybe frame it around that as opposed to a traditional like polyamorous dynamic, I think, if you're going to be with somebody who is asexual, because obviously totally valid for an aspec person to be like, no physical intimacy on the table whatsoever. Totally valid for you to be like, I want a romantic relationship that involves physical intimacy. And that might be an impasse, or maybe you can't really act on those romantic feelings and it makes being like just friends awkward, but it is what it has to be. However, I don't know, as a friend, if maybe you would fully understand their relationship to physical intimacy and sexuality. It could be maybe they're more on the demisexual side, or maybe they're like more like demi-fluid, and maybe as they develop feelings for you, maybe like physical intimacy becomes more on the table, or maybe they're more of an ace person. Maybe they're not averse to physical intimacy entirely. Maybe they're open to exploring that kind of thing, and maybe they just don't have the same relationship to it that you do, but they're totally cool with maybe certain acts but not others, or certain ways of doing things but not others. Like, there can be so many different ways of interfacing with sexuality with being an ace person that I would not want to make any assumptions there and then leap to immediately, well, if I'm in a relationship with this person, I'm going to have to only do it in a non-monogamous way to get my needs met. Because you might be surprised that might not actually be the case. But if they're like, yeah, like, I'm really interested in maybe like romantically dating you, but like, I don't really see myself ever being into any sort of sexual contact, good on them for being super upfront and very clear about where their boundaries are. And then you can say, if you still want to pursue a romantic relationship with them, maybe you decide, hey, we can work with that, but I would like the opportunity to get my physical needs met elsewhere. It wouldn't necessarily mean that I care less about you. Is that something that you're open to exploring? Like, having it be a really upfront, very, very, very early conversation, I think is going to be super important for that, just to make sure there's no sort of like, I would really want to avoid any implication of there being like a bait and switch change of like, well, originally they said that they were fine dating me, because I've been there, like, not with this exact kind of thing, but like, some being upfront, meeting on a dating app, telling somebody I'm aspec, and then 6 months in, then being like, well, I thought you would change your mind. And I can see it even being more hurtful of somebody, initially agreeing to a more monogamous framework, or just entirely monogamy outright, and then a couple months in being like, but babe, I need my physical needs met, so therefore we have to be poly. Like, that's going to be real shitty. So just like talking about it up front immediately is going to be the best path there, I think. Have you read / do you recommend the book Broken Toys, Submissives with Mental Illness and Neurological Dysfunction? I have read it. I do recommend it because I generally like Raven Caldera's books. I don't recall how much I liked it or not. I think it was edifying because it's a novel in the sense that it's like an anthology of a bunch of people's stories, as opposed to a guidebook of how to work with any kind of mental illness or any kind of neurological dysfunction from a professional lens. It's really just like, here's how different people have coped with that. I remember there being stuff about PTSD and bipolar and borderline in that book. I don't know if there's any representation of the autism spectrum, but I'm really shocked if there wasn't any. If there wasn't, I imagine there could be a follow-up there that would be worthwhile. Because neurological dysfunction does not necessarily include autism, or like, I like, I would rather it maybe be called mental illness and neurodiversity or like neurodivergence or something. I think would be because dysfunction makes it sound like there's a problem to fix, and not everyone that is neurodivergent like sees their bodies as dysfunctional, their brains as dysfunctional. So yeah, I remember liking it. I think it's worth it. I like Raven Caldera's books in general, but I can't really pick out any highlights about that. I do like their other books, and there are things that Raven and Joshua will talk about in their other books that they've co-written together, where they talk about coping with like seasonal depression and other things that have come up in their relationship. Oh yeah, for example, I don't really like hand holding because it feels weird to me sensory wise, and I like the freedom of movement while walking. Yeah, some people like I love hand holding. Like that's part of my jam. I love hand holding, but there are other things that I like absolutely don't like physically with partners that are like, fairly standard stuff. Like I don't even really like long sleeve shirts. Like I like either wearing a hoodie or a shirt. I don't like long sleeve t-shirts. I don't know why. I just something about them feels wrong. Something about them does not feel right to me. So yeah, sensory stuff do be weird like that sometimes. And this is why we have conversations about this stuff. All right. Blaspheme69, amazing name by the way, asks, do you have any suggestions where to find suggestions for how to support my very physically limited S-type in things / tasks that they can do as an S-type? Actually really funny. That's a good follow-up to the previous book. So Raven Caldera has another set of books that I think it's Kneeling in Spirit is what it's called. I think it's Raven Caldera. I don't remember what the subtitle is, but it's Kneeling in Spirit, and it's another anthology of stories from people with different physical disabilities and how they submit. And that might be a good thing to read to get examples from. But where do you find suggestions for how to support your physically limited S-type and things and tasks that they can do as an S-type? The other thing I'd recommend, this is going to be a little bit farther out. There is a conference, and I'm going to find a link to it, that's called Thrive. And it's an online conference that happens every year. I want to say it's in like March this year. Oh, connection failed. Access denied for something's going on there. They need to fix their website. I don't know. Web design, that's not working. All right, so the website is not working currently, so I can't tell you exactly what it is. Apparently I found it in Google search results. It's going to be actually in May, at the very end of May. And I believe they're actually taking presenter applications until like end of December, or maybe January. So I would look at that. And I would even look at, like, if you can find class lists from their previous years that they've done this, you can find educators who talk about all sorts of things from mental health, physical health, disability, advocacy stuff, like making things work with all different aspects of BDSM and what different people have going on. So I would look at that and maybe find presenters and educators that way. Or I wait for ThriveCon to come around, and then you'll have access to a lot of resources through that just this coming year. And that's really good. I haven't attended virtually the last couple of years, but I did the first couple, and I really enjoyed it. I just didn't see a lot on the more recent schedules that really got my attention. I don't know what happens if you click dismiss Q&A on your end. I don't see the option to dismiss it, so I don't know if that means you can see it again after you click dismiss. I'm not sure. All right, I'm going to try to do one or two more questions, I think, here. So this is your last chance. If you've not asked a question yet or have not gotten to yours, please put it in the chat. Please use the question feature because I can't promise I will see it otherwise. This is by Lashadi, I think. Lashadi, would you please give suggestions for a somewhat switchy DS couple that enjoys primal play? How would you suggest to include primal play, maybe in a more structured, consistent way? Oh boy, that is like my exact thing, Lashadi. That is how that's like the basis for a lot of my relationships. I'm right there with you. In a more structured and consistent way. So this may or may not work for you, but the way that I generally conceive of it is some kind of either predator-prey hierarchy or like bigger predator, smaller predator, or like mated pair where like one of the partners is dominant over the other. So like maybe you have a relationship dynamic where like one partner is like more of a wolf and then you're like more of a dog. And so like the wolf, you know, in terms of species, like, okay, they're both carnivores, they're both omnivores, but whatever, you know, they're both predatory animals. They're not prey animals. Right. And, you know, the wolf takes lead over the dog, but there's ways to switch within that. And it's not just like a deer chasing after, or not just a wolf chasing after a deer, right? Like there's a little bit more of an equivalence in power there. Also with like sort of a mate or a pack structure, that gives you opportunities to play around, I think, with like powers and like rules and protocol and ritual in a very intentional way that's like more like what you would get from DS versus just like wrestling on the ground. I'm a really big believer in like incorporating ritual into primal play. I'm a really big believer in the fact that you can have a primal relationship that involves like rules and structure because like, you know, human animals are social animals. There are plenty of other animals that we can learn from and borrow from, either from our human framing of them or from actual, like, you know, zoology, that give you ways to think about the fact that, like, you know, other animals also have social hierarchies. They also have prescribed behavior that's socially acceptable within their packs or groups of, like, you know, who eats first, you know, where do people sleep, you know, who does what kind of labor, who does this or that, who has access to this or that, and like deferring sort of behaviors in terms of, like, you know, how do you demonstrate your submission towards people. But that's like, I taught a whole class just about this. And if you would like a copy of my class slideshow notes, I might recommend going over to my Patreon, and then you can get a copy of my class notes, and there's like tons of ideas in the whole slideshow about that exact very thing. But yeah, I think that's like having the right mental framework, I think, is probably the most important part there. All right. I could probably ramble that for another 5 minutes, but I'm going to try to get to one more question. There's a follow-up from Lashadi. I'll try to get to it before we end the stream. And Rebecca asks, I found a willing play partner for age play. We're currently talking about it, but I'm not sure how to proceed on this. Any advice? I mean, that's like a big question. My recommendation for new play partners, new opportunities to play with people, my standards, like more safety focused stuff, is usually like playing in public, playing where there's DMs, doing very light play, like intentionally not playing super deeply, especially with new stuff. If you can find an age play event to go to, I really recommend that. So that way, like, you know, other people who understand age play are going to be around and can watch what's happening. But I think focusing on like lighter stuff that you both mutually enjoy, whether that's like dress up stuff or like coloring stuff, or I don't know what kind of age play stuff that you would be into that you would want to share with a partner, but keeping it definitely in the lighter end of the pool, very short, concentrated scenes, just little like samplers, build up confidence through having success at those smaller scenes, and then eventually transition into doing larger stuff. And I mean, like, the big thing is proceeding into play with a new play partner is just like practicing negotiating and figuring out where your overlaps are for interest, and then like where you want to start playing with that. Yeah, you are more than welcome, and I'm glad you all appreciate the advice. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up now because I can feel my voice getting tired. But thank you all so much for being here on this Friday. Bandita knows it's time for the end of the stream, huh? Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. You want to come say goodbye to the people? Come here. Hi. Come here. Come here. Come here. Oh my goodness. Come here. Yeah. Are you ready? I know it's dinner time, huh? Yeah. I get it. I do. All right. That's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you all so much for joining me for this live stream. We will be back again We'll be back next week. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna be streaming next week. Thanksgiving weekend, I will not be streaming. FYI, that's in 2 weeks. So we'll be streaming next weekend. Pretty sure we'll be streaming on the 21st. But outside of that, thank you all so much for hanging out with me and Bendita on this Friday stream. We really appreciate it. Stay safe, have fun, drink your water, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye!